outstanding psychologist, one of my favorites. Basically because you write in a clear language, you work with everyday life issues, and I work with everyday life issues, and because you write and you talk with humor, that's not very common in psychology. So thank you very much for being here. I would like to talk about moderation and abstinence. Two topics in philosophy, and I remember that in one of your books, the last one, Irrational and yours, and others, you say something that fascinates me, that when we make a diet, there are not clear cut stopping rules. And you suggest to avoid exposing ourselves to the type of foods that are detrimental to our diet. If we have no cake at home, you say, we will feel less, we will eat less, sorry. Maybe we can decide that dessert is unacceptable or only eat it on salad. No? Stimulus control. Would you say that that is moderation or abstinence?
So, we have both of those in the same approach. But I think the realization is that if we think about every decision one at a time, we're likely to either not think or fail. But if our decisions are a part of the rule, then what happens is that every decision is not just judged by itself, it's judged in a more general way. So if I think to myself every day, should I eat cake or not today, there may be many days that I eat cake. But if I say I have a rule that I don't eat cake, and now this rule has a higher level of importance, and if I break it, I don't just break my decision for today, I break something more important. Yeah. So the easiest one to do are one that you say, I never do it. That's the abstinence one. That's very easy because the rule is very clear. The more complex ones are ones that have exceptions in them. So I'll tell you my own personal story. Maybe a year and a half ago I decided I need to lose a little bit of weight. Not too much, just a little bit. And I travel a lot. I travel more than half the year, and traveling is a terrible thing for dieting. So I decided to cut out bread. And basically it was a very simple rule, no bread. And I go to the airport and get pizzas, and I'm not tempted because this is the rule, and I get breakfast. And it's a piece of bread, and I just eat one piece of bread less. It was a very good strategy. No, I don't eat it all. But I'm saying the breakfast is served, I eat a little bit less because I don't eat a piece of bread. It's a very successful rule. And then I did it for a while, and then I decided to change it to moderation. And I decided no bread, aside from the weekend. Aside from the rule. Now the question, of course, is when does the weekend start? In the Jewish tradition, it's Friday night. What happens when I'm in the US? They have 2 days for the weekend. In other countries, they have different days. It becomes a much more flexible rule when it's in moderation. And there's a temptation to trick ourselves. Because all of a sudden, when I say not on the weekend, what about holidays? Are holidays part of the rule or not the rule?
So you prefer the former one?
I prefer the complete restriction with the rules is the simplest.
I tell you something else. I used to have an eating disorder, and I started studying nutrition by myself. I read several books, and I learned new cut-stopping rules. I knew how to eat and feel full, and I stopped having the disorder. So this is anecdotal that I did. It should be interesting to do a study with two conditions, informed nutritional conditions and non-informed, and see if this rational ingredient, perhaps we could eat everything but less.
And when we think about education, we think about teaching people principles, and then for the people to figure out how to apply the principles themselves. Usually when we think about education, we don't think about telling you exact recipe, right? That's not considered education. And I would say that as far as education is concerned, I can't think about a single case in human history they remember the facts. They understand compound interest, they know how to do these things. Does it have an effect on their behavior? Tiny. The effect goes down over time. And it's low for people from lower socioeconomic status. I think the same thing will happen with other areas of life, where education is unlikely to work. And especially it's unlikely to work because the world is against us. You know, imagine you walk down the street. Okay? What does every coffee shop want? For you to buy another croissant? Right? And what does every grocery store want? For you to buy more food. So you walk around the world and every entity wants you to eat more and spend your time. Very hard to judge. So we can say, let's teach people so they can argue about each of those options. And it's just too much.
Maybe we could test it, but
Testing will always test, but I would say that my assumption going into it is that the kind of learning, the kind of information that was being particularly useful is more connected to rules than to general learning.
yeah, well, I have a new rule. Everything but some things I can ignore. Strawberries, for example,
And you know, it's a relatively easy rule to keep if you read at home. It's a bit harder to keep it to go to
I travel with my family.
Okay.
There is evidence that social correlates from that. I'm thinking, for example, in the experiment in the beer. And I was wondering if that same experience in the second.
So this is a very general question about the effect of culture on decision making. And here is my current understanding. When we have very deep decision making mechanisms, I think we're all the same and culture doesn't really matter. Think about visual perception. No difference. Young, old, Chinese, American, it's all the same. But and the same thing holds for decision making. When we think about very basic principles like dishonesty or face perception or effective expectations, I don't think there's any differences. However, there are cases in which culture creates a set of new rules and it overrides our decision. So give me one example. You remember the tsunami and the nuclear disaster in Japan? After that, you would see videos, news of Japanese standing in line when there was a nuclear disaster. Right? They were just standing there. They didn't steal, they didn't move, they were standing in line, and it was just shocking for the rest of us. How could they do it? And you could say the Japanese have unbelievable sense of self-control. But have you ever been to the bar in Japan? They don't look like they have any self-control in that regard. So I think what happened is that the Japanese deep down are just like everybody else. They have the same self-control problem. But they have a very strong culture that overrides your self-control in some areas, like areas that have to do with dealing with other people, but they don't deal with other areas that deal with personality and how they deal at home, how they and so on.
Yeah, and how can you explain that, for example, in Argentina, it is very usual, for example, they call me in the middle of the night and they tell you, we've kidnapped your son. Not your son.
Hopefully not,
yeah,
not
but they don't have him.
Oh, really?
No, he is sleeping with his girlfriend and they shout and you listen to a boy shouting, think it's your son. Yeah, people don't know that and they pay a lot of money. And they do much more making a property than it was. For example, you can see windows without hearing your apps. So we could orient the study perception.
Do you think there would be more dishonest in other areas of life? Do you think they change the spouse more?
No, but not with the relative. They deal more with somebody
some sociopaths out there. We're not talking about that. But when you think about those people, most likely they have separated the morals. And they have morals of how they deal with people from their class. And they have a different set of morals of how they deal with other people. And they probably find it justifiable. Think about lots of acts that are immoral, but people justify it as being correct because of their society. Robin Hood. Remember Robin Hood was stealing from the wealthy and giving to the poor? I think he felt bad about it.
No, I was thinking in an example. The example of the maid that steals the meat from the refrigerator.
Yeah.
She, and then the solution is that I give you the key, you are responsible.
Right.
Good solution. But what did she think? Probably she thought, did she have the same possibilities?
Yeah.
The owner of the house.
We've done some experiments.
And that's just not rational.
It is. Because what you're doing is you're using justice to rationalize.
Yeah.
So we've done some experiments. We show that when you take people across the income spectrum in the US, they don't cheat in our task any differently. But if you take somebody and you convince them that where they are right now is not their fault, it's because some other people screw them over. So I can tell you, you're really smart and talented and you're hardworking. The reason you're not doing well is really because somebody else screwed you.
I cheat more than that.
Then people cheat more. So think about the 2007-2008 financial crisis. Lots of people did what they were supposed to do. And all of a sudden, somebody else was stealing from them. And it really helps people justify it.
Yeah, interesting. Last two short questions. What fascinates me from your work is that you also propose concrete things. For example, the date play online, great play, the credit card issue. I would like you to talk about it.
So, yeah, I think it's actually very important for us to be out of the lab and propose real solutions. So I'll tell you one experiment we've done recently. This was an experiment in Bulgaria, in Islamic Kenya, and we're trying to get very few people to save a little bit of money. And we started by creating a self-control mechanism. So we were very cool, and I gave you some money, you could spend it on food and more water, kerosene. So we create a system where people have an easy time putting the money in to their phone, but a hard time getting it out. They have to take a bus and go to the city and so on. And then we incentivize people in different ways to save money. Some people we reminded them once a week. Some people we reminded them as if it came from their kids. Hi mom, hi dad, this one thing. Some people we gave them 10% match. After 100 shillings, we'll give you 10% match. Some people got 20% match. Some people got pre-match. What is pre-match? We put the money in the beginning of the week, and if they save, they get to keep it. And if not, we take it back. That's using loss of money. Some people got 20% match, and some people got the 40%. This one was about this size, and it had numbers around it, and we asked them to put it somewhere in their hat, and every week to take it out, and with the knife, scratch the number for the week. If they save, then scratch a different way we didn't see. Only thing happened, this was real thousands of people, very people to save money. Reminding people helps. Giving 10% at the end of the week helps a bit more. 20% just like 10%. 10% in the beginning of the week helps some more. 20% again just like the 10%. Kids are like 10% in the beginning of the week. The coin almost doubled saving. The coin will surprise us. And not only that, but if you look at the days of the week, in every condition people save in Thursday and look at Friday. In the coin condition they save in the other days of the week. Why? Because somewhere in their hearts they saw it from time to time,
El diálogo con Ariely tal vez haya planteado algunas cruciales problemáticas de la interdisciplina. Los filósofos focalizan más en cómo deberíamos vivir y los psicólogos en cómo viven las personas. Pero no podemos plantear comportamientos ideales sin saber cómo somos los seres humanos y cuáles son los límites de nuestra racionalidad. Los filósofos suelen valorar el ideal aristotélico del cultivo de virtudes como la de la templanza o moderación, que es el término medio entre la abstinencia y el exceso. Por eso sería interesante testear si aprendiendo nutrición en profundidad, las personas podrían hacer dieta privilegiando la moderación sobre la abstinencia. Comer es uno de los grandes placeres de la vida y, salvo excepción, no deberíamos estar privados de él. Esto supondría conocer nuevas reglas, por ejemplo, de todo pero menos, o comer 200 gramos de frutilla y no 100 está bien, porque solo tienen 25 calorías cada 100 gramos. Podemos conocer algo de manera superficial, hay distintos niveles para el conocimiento. Cuando la información se entrelaza con experiencias de vida y conforma nuevos hábitos, cuando se convierte en auténtica formación y educación, puede impulsar cambios importantes, desde la Revolución Francesa hasta el cultivo de la virtud de la valentía para enfrentar un dolor. La moderación ha sido la gran virtud promovida por los antiguos filósofos griegos, la que nos permite disfrutar de los placeres de la vida de modo que no sean incompatibles con nuestra integridad física. Por cortos periodos de tiempo y en relación a ciertos hábitos, podemos preferir la abstinencia. Por ejemplo, decir, esta semana no como helado. Pero como filosofía general es preferible la moderación. Si se suprimen por completo el pan y los restantes hidratos, como la papa, el arroz y las harinas, tal como sugieren muchas dietas folk, la salud puede perjudicarse. Necesitamos los hidratos de carbono y perder peso conservando la salud es algo que solo se logra con una dieta equilibrada. La falta radical de hidratos puede generar una descalcificación ósea, daños renales, fatiga. Los hidratos como el pan proveen de energía al cuerpo. Otra cuestión interesante de la interdisciplina que planteó la entrevista es la que se produce en el cruce entre la psicología y la sociología. Sabemos por las revisiones hechas por Pablo Van Silver para el Banco Mundial y por otros estudios que en los países con altos niveles de desigualdad hay más engaño y violencia social. Y esto probablemente también sea cierto si consideramos en el mismo país estudios hechos en áreas en las que predominan las clases medias y altas, comparadas con otras en las que predominan los grupos más desfavorecidos de la sociedad. Un estudio del que dio cuenta Dan Ariely en esta entrevista suma evidencia en esta dirección. Cuando las personas sienten que padecen una injusticia, tienden en promedio a engañar más. La buena noticia es que también otros estudios muestran evidencia de que si son destinatarios de un gesto amable, es más probable que tengan un gesto amable con un desconocido. Dan Ariely investiga algunos de los temas que han desvelado a los filósofos durante siglos: el autocontrol, el engaño, los límites de nuestra racionalidad. Lo que lo diferencia de muchos otros psicólogos es que busca soluciones concretas a muchos de estos problemas, basadas en estudios experimentales. Sus libros son muy entretenidos, graciosos y recomendables. Hasta ahora escribió 4: Las trampas del deseo, Las ventajas del deseo, ¿Por qué mentimos?, en especial a nosotros mismos, y el último, Irracionalmente tuyo. Para leer en inglés la investigación de Ariely sobre los sistemas de ahorro en Kenia, poner en Google How to Help the Poor, sites @Duke.